Hello, my name is Ben, and I love movies, especially the films of Todd Haynes. This year, I was certain that he was finally going to get the recognition he deserves from the Academy for his film May December. So I was horrified Oscar nominations morning to see that most of the cast and crew were not nominated, its only nomination being for its really interesting screenplay from Sammy Birch. Today, I want to look into why it wasn't nominated and also why it deserved nominations. If you have not seen May December, it is about this actress named Elizabeth, played by Natalie Portman, who goes to Georgia to meet Gracie, played by Julianne Moore, who she is playing in a movie about the affair she had with a 13-year-old boy, who as an adult is played by Charles Melton, on the eve of their kid's high school graduation. This film's plot is weird and dark and sad, and it's so interesting to see. It's really not like anything you've seen before. I'm going to go down the line and talk about the key aspects that I believe deserve nominations. I'm going to start with Natalie Portman because according to interviews, she spearheaded this project after getting the script from Sammy Birch. I love actors who are game for whatever a movie is, no matter how weird it seems on paper. And Natalie Portman really is. She made the decision to hire Todd Haynes as director, despite, at least superficially, not being the obvious choice for this job. Todd Haynes is mostly known for LGBTQ films, and while this has homoerotic undercurrents, it is not an LGBT film. I don't know how else to say it. Elizabeth's a weirdo. There's this really uncomfortable scene where she is flirting with Joe, and probably my favorite example is this monologue she gives about sex scenes to a group of high schoolers in an acting class that is so uncomfortable and really awesome at the same time. It's so captivating to see how Portman portrays this character. Though I think the key thing about her performance is the way Elizabeth studies for her performance as Gracie. The way she looks through a mirror, the way she shifts her body. It is so interesting seeing these little details. Especially my favorite example is the scene at the dress shop where you see Natalie Portman subtly move her body and hands to copy what Gracie is doing. This all comes to a head in a scene towards the end of the film where Elizabeth is reading a love letter Gracie wrote to Joe in character as Gracie. From the way that her eyes look to the lisps she has, it is so scary. And then at the end when she has to shudder to take it off because she's so been there and she completely understands how Gracie could do a thing like this, or at least she believes to. She doesn't have all the information that she thinks she has, but it is so captivating to watch. Then there is Julianne Moore's Gracie, who is incredible. Her vocal performance, adding a lisp, is really interesting, really underplays it, which I think is interesting for someone who doesn't really think a lot about her actions. She doesn't dwell on the past, she just kind of lives in the moment. And I don't think she really understands how what she does is toxic and abusive. And there's the victim of her abuse, and the person who I thought was going to win the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, Charles Melton, playing Joe. This is going to sound like such a read, but it's really a compliment. I love that Joe is boring. Joe is boring. I don't mean the character is boring. The character is insanely complex. But, like, the person, Joe, is boring. He's very stilted and doesn't have a lot of interpersonal skills, probably because he's been stuck in a relationship since he's 13, and he doesn't get those experiences that a lot of men his age had because he was stuck with Gracie. There is his relationship with Gracie where I don't think he's able to be very passionate about things, at least to her. Gracie's kind of this middle ground of a mother, a wife, and a kid. This comes to a head in the most uncomfortable scene in the movie when Joe confronts Gracie about how in love they actually are. The way he holds his body, the way he talks, the way he cries. It's so real, it's really uncomfortable. But that weird, uncomfortable, kind of boring tone that is what Todd Haynes is going for in this movie. I would call the movie Lifetime's version of Ingmar Bergman's Persona. Todd Haynes kind of steps back and creates something a bit less visually dynamic and something that is shot at slightly further away than he normally does. I mean, just kind of look at a still from Far From Heaven or Carol and compare that to this, which is all done for a good reason. This movie is about the real lives that are affected by the biopic and true crime trend that's going on at the moment. And that lampooning of those trends is probably why it didn't get an Oscar nomination. I mean, look at Netflix, whose two other movies that got nominated were biopics. Look at the movies that have won Best Picture that are about actors. They're about the complexity of actors and why being an actor is important. Which makes sense. The Academy is predominantly made up of actors. While this movie lampoons the narcissism of actors, which is a bold decision that I really respect. If you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe and like and leave a comment. Thank you. Have a nice day.